folk, man. You already know what it is, man. It's your boy DT3Z, the Boom Beezy, man. And I'm here with this homeboy, MMA, the best surgeon, and we are here with the Combat Cannon MMA podcast, man. Episode 1, man. Thank all those who want to tune in. And I want to send a special shout out to the Playback Gang. What to do with the folk, man? What's up, Surge, man? We got a lot of topics going on, and there's a lot going on in MMA right now, man. So, why don't we get it started off, man, with the first topic, what we're going to talk about today. And what we got first, man, is Rivera attempting stabbing both sisters, man, and they're still saying, like, good thoughts about this, man. What is your thoughts about this topic, man? What's going on with this situation, bro?
So what happened with Rivera was a couple days ago, I believe on the weekend or something like that. His sisters had not been able to, kind of get to him very easily. He kind of hadn't been going to training is what they had heard. There had been a lot of problems with stuff like that. So what ended up happening was they went down there. They kind of went to go visit him, kind of, say, hey, what's going on? He was actually kind of in a mental state. They had never seen him like that before. They said he had completely lost it mentally. And unfortunately, he ended up stabbing them. I don't think the so-called stabbing, or they're calling it an attempted murder charge, I don't think he caused much damage to the sisters, but obviously enough to warrant the attempted murder charge. They just hope that he's mentally going to be able to get the help that he needs and he's going to be okay, which I totally agree with them. In times like this, I think that everyone needs to, you know what I mean? If they're not having a good time mentally, needs to go look out and seek the help that they need or talk to someone, because especially as males, we need to be strong. And, a lot of these guys that are pro fighters, they can go through a lot more mentally, you know what I mean? As far as, dealing with everything from having to go through weight cuts and stuff like that. He's coming off of a loss, you know what I mean? Like, so do
you see Irwin like getting himself back in title contention anytime soon? Do you see him maybe making that happen?
I don't believe so. I believe probably the UFC, and if I'm not, I could be wrong, I could be right. I believe that they've probably ended up cutting Irwin Rivera from the UFC due to this. So it's unfortunate for him. I hope that he can get mentally stable again and mentally okay, because he has had a long career. And you know what, for a guy like him, I think his mental health and his physical health for the people around him and that the people that he loves, I think that's a lot more important. You know what I mean?
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Feel you. Now we got Dustin Poirier. He just signed an 8-fight deal. What 8 opponents do you think are game opponents right now? What 8 fighters right now you think is in his future for Dustin Poirier at 170 pounds, man?
For Dustin Poirier at 170 pounds? At 170 though?
Yeah. That's full-fledged welter, right?
I think that's a pretty good question. I think that I'm not 100% sure. I think that there's a lot of different guys and a lot of different questions. I think a guy like Dustin Poirier, he's not looking past the fights that are ahead of him. I think this bullshit talk is stuff that they kind of drag out of people. Maybe he does want a full fight at fledged 170 one day in his career, and you know what? Hats off to him. But
all right.
I don't know. There is obviously good fights for him at 170. I think the real question is,
will he be successful? Do you see him? I don't think he'll be successful. I think he's better at 55. If you ask me,
yes, I
say 55. I think 70 might be a stretch. I mean, I don't see him having an issue making 55, but I don't know. I don't see him really doing nothing major at 70. Like, I don't see him making the noise at 70 that he made at 55. I just don't see that happening for Poirier.
Yeah, I think he'd need to really bring up the power when he went up in weight. I think there's a lot of killers at 70 and a lot of guys that could definitely, do his end. But I think there is some fights, you know what I mean? Like at 70 that might be a little bit more competitive, like say like a Michael Chiesa, like some guys like that, like guys that are moving up in their own right, you know what I mean? That we've already see kind of go later into their career. I think let's not look too far past and forward into Dustin's career. I think we should, you know what I mean, stay on the top of hand and as far as getting this fight done and kind of getting this win against McGregor. I think that's important. And you can go into the next topic unless you want me to kind of bring that one.
Go ahead. Slide on in that topic right here, because I feel some type of way about even I don't feel like what is a Dustin Poirier fight for Conor McGregor? I feel like that's a waste of your time You ain't got no business fighting no Conor McGregor whatsoever. I just feel like it's a bunch of bogus bullshit. I mean, I feel like Conor McGregor don't got no business fighting Dustin Poirier. I mean, I feel like that's beneath him. He should be focused on more game opposition. I think he's just trying to find a way to stack pack his record or get his resume up because of his recent loss and getting his ass beat by Khabib and all that. So he's still trying to redeem himself some type of way from that loss. And I think the way to build his confidence up is to fight a fighter of a caliber of a Dustin Poirier and not fighting one of these top dudes. And that's just how I feel about it, man. I'm gonna be straight up. I think Conor bullshit.
Yeah, and Conor is still the next point we were going to go into. Conor.
Shots fired! I just think he bullshit. Straight up. He bullshitting. Conor, you about that bullshit. You been about that bullshit. And I as far as MMA is concerned, because ever since he got that money from Floyd, that money he got from boxing, Conor ain't been the same since. And I don't even think he's dedicated to the sport as much as he claimed he is, say he is. Shots fired! Shots fired!
I love that, man. I love that. So yeah, the next kind of point I was going into was Conor McGregor has been recently quoted. I'm sure a lot of people have already heard it. I love Dustin. I think he's a great fighter, but great is still levels below me. I'll knock Dustin out in 60 seconds. The first fight between Conor and Dustin only went 106 seconds. So is he wrong for saying that? Is that kind of arrogant? I want to hear your take first, man.
I don't think it's arrogant. I just think he already know. Like, I already know what I already did. You ain't got no better, so I already know what I'm up against. I already know what you got. You don't have nothing that I have to worry about. Everybody's talking about your power, your power, your power. Well, it's one thing to have power. It's another thing for me to feel it. And if I've never felt it or I've never had any fear with it, what the fuck does it matter? So I think, kind of like I said, he just trying to stat pack it, trying to build his resume off of Dustin Poirier, because he could fight some other fighters. He could be really trying to campaign to get Khabib to come back. But, I mean, because he's still Conor McGregor, he's still going to sell out. Let's be real. Conor McGregor's still going to sell out the venue. He's going to want some type of fandom he's going to want some type of fans there to watch him fight. He's not going to be too cool with not having no fans there. He's Conor McGregor. And it's the same thing with a lot of things going on in the fight world, is that a lot of these top name fighters are, in a sense, not willing to fight unless they have fans. So you can't tell me this Dustin Poirier McGregor fight is not going to have no fans. It's going to have some fans.
Yep, it's going to have 2,000 live people in attendance. It's going to have a lot of people watching. I think that you could make the argument, though, that there has been a huge improvement in Dustin Poirier's career since they fought. They fought in 2014. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely the ability for Dustin Poirier to, which he has showed, to go against guys that are very dangerous on the hands and feet. And, you know, people like to phrase it as Conor McGregor has that one-touch power, and he does. But he's caught. He catches. Yeah.
I'm just saying, why you don't fight Ferg? Conor, why you don't fight Ferg? Why you don't fight Ferg, Conor? Shots fired! Why? Shots fired! I'm just saying. What's up with Ferg? Fergie in the business. He out here. Why you ain't trying to fight him? Why you ain't trying to, you know what I'm saying? Max was willing to move. He moved up to 55. Why you fight Max? Shots fired! Shots fired! Fight Max. I mean, there's people out there that's got a big name that you actually do got the potential to beat, but you still ain't trying. You ain't talking about them. You won't fight Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, he's definitely coming and trying to find that easy work. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, he's trying to, like, if you're Conor McGregor, he's looking at resumes and guys that he can get. We've seen the emails. We saw the emails, and that's a perfect little segue into our last part from last year. From the last part, one of the other parts is from last year, we saw the fact that Conor leaked the DMs with Dana. He was leaking DMs in which he was asking for fights with guys of completely lower level, like guys like Diego Sanchez. He wanted a Diego Sanchez fight booked before the end of the year.
Diego Sanchez, McGregor?
Yeah.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Diego Sanchez. Diego.
And he...
Shots fired!
Best part is he leaked those DMs himself. So he leaked those to basically, because there was multiples, there was about 6 of them. I'm sure a lot of people remember it. He leaked those and tried to get, Dana in some bullshit. And Dana really, that's when they kind of had their little falling out over the past year. Now apparently they're good, as so Dana claims. Of course, the Golden Goose is back. He's making him money again. You know what I mean? He's fighting again. So like, how can he be mad? But in reality, he was asking for fights like that. So I think we're looking at a guy who's realized, and Dana told him no. You can see it on the messages. He says we would lose our athletic license for making that fight, and he's probably right, like in a joking way. But in reality, I think you're right. He is trying to look for something easy, but I don't think that that's going to come with Dustin Poirier. I actually favor Dustin Poirier in this fight, but that's for probably next week's one when we go into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's talk about these situations that our fighters are not happy. We got Mike Grundy and Nick Lentz. It's canceled this weekend due to COVID. Mm-hmm. And you got Bellator, who's talking about they got an event coming up, but yet nobody's fighting. So I don't understand how you got an event and nobody's fighting. And how is it two TBA? That don't make sense. For that, you get the cannon. You get up out of here with that nonsense. And I forgot you too, McGregor. You get the cannon too. You get the cannon for that bullshit. All that bullshit you talking about, you get the cannon twice. Don't nobody got time for that bullshit. But why is Bellator saying they got events, but they don't have no fighters? Like what's going on with Bellator, bro?
Man, I think it's hard to say. I think Bellator is kind of picking their show, but it's like you're already close to a month out. They're saying February 1st was supposed to be the date. I'm sure that's probably not going to be a thing now because, like, come on, they haven't done any advertising, they haven't put anything out there, but on the website it's TBA. So, I mean, it's very suspect on Bellator's part. We need to see them. Come on, put some effort into advertising your fighters. Come on, like let's get them working a little bit. Like let's not let the UFC have this dictatorship and this ability to kind of just sit there and look at other like they've already had. They're gonna have 3 fights in 9 days. You know what I mean? Bellator hasn't even had 1 fight yet, and they're aiming for the end of the month. You know what I mean? They're gonna probably have the UFC's probably gonna have another event or 2 before then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, one has been having shit in Singapore like a motherfucker.
It's a matter of like, what are you doing? Because Bellator they do some stupid things, they do some smart things. Some would say it's a retirement home, you know what I mean? But in reality, they're a competitor with the UFC, and we need to see them put their best foot forward. You know what I mean? But as far as the cancellations you were talking about, recently what just came in too is what got announced on Tuesday is the bout between Amari Akhmedov and Tom Breeze. That's gone as well. And a previously postponed bantamweight bout between Umar Nurmagomedov and Sergey Morazev have been both moved to UFC Fight Island 8 on the 20th now.
Wow. Is there any explanation of why these fights are being like postponed?
So I believe the Tom Breeze Akhmedov one was COVID. I believe the Morazev and the Umar Nurmagomedov one was also COVID. I think they were both COVID related. I'm not sure though.
And these are the only fights that are canceled?
Yeah, those fights so far. And currently as well, we also we almost lost one of the fights on the actual card, but we were lucky. Like in the UFC, this is where they kind of, put themselves and separate themselves from the competition, is they always have people like able to step up no matter, like you can always go, well, they're not good. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of even having the fight? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think you could make the argument, like, come on, like the ability to have someone come in on like 7 days notice, like the UFC is doing right now, like that's huge. Like the ability to do that is massive. And I think that it's a female fight. I believe the girl's name is, I'm just getting it right here. I don't think it's. Oh, sorry. It's the girl fighting. Sorry. It's the girl fighting Wu Yanan. It's Josie Edwards. Sorry. So Josie Edwards has never even fought in the UFC. And she's taken this fight on 7 days notice after already having fought once this year. And well, recently, I think a couple months ago. And she's got a decent little background, but Wu Yanan is a pretty top Chinese fighter, women's flyweight fighter. Like
heavy hands. And
she's probably gonna run through. But I mean, Josie's no slouch herself, and she's got some hands, but she hasn't really gone up against any notable opponents. But I mean, just the ability for the UFC to be able to do that to pull someone in on like 7 days notice, maybe a little bit more, because it maybe give or take a couple days, maybe like 8 or 9 days. But to be able to pull someone in and be able to have a fight still is huge. You know what I mean? That's why they're overstacking these cards, and you know what I mean? They're starting these cards out at like 14 fights, and then they're kind of dropping it down. You know what I mean? That's pretty much why.
Well, I still think I ain't gonna get her. She got heavy hands, and it's not too many females that want to stand in there and take them punches from that woman. It's just I don't think she got that Nunes crack. You know what I mean? That hit that where she's discombobulating you. But I think she got enough to where she could freeze you, she could stop you, and not make you want to advance. I feel like her previous opponent, old girl, she's just a dog. She's just a different animal. You know what I mean? She's totally different. You know, you got to respect her game. And there's not too many women that's going to want to do that. So I mean, you never know. It's the fight game. You never know. She took the fight on short notice. We don't know how this girl trained. We don't know who trains her or none of that. This is how some stars are made.
Yep.
Some stars come out taking fights on short notice because they've been working their ass off all the shit, and then they get that opportunity that they can't pass up, and they get it, and then all of a sudden, you know, we talking the shit we talking, oh yes, I ain't gonna do blah blah blah, and then old girl get in, and then next thing you know, we have a new star in MMA. Somebody else has arrived, you know, because you know belts in MMA change like people change their draws. You know, it's very rare that people maintain and hold their belts for a prolonged period, no matter man, woman, no matter what weight class. You know, in MMA, you could lose that belt at any given time for any given reason, because they always are consistently fighting top guys and girls. So, I mean, and then that leads me to the next thing with Gilbert Burns versus Uzman on my birthday, February 13th.
Okay.
You know, so got to talk about it because it's on my birthday.
Yeah.
You know? But I was going with Uzman, but I think Burns could clip him. I mean, Uzman is not untouchable. All right, he's not a guy that will not get hit. It's like these guys aren't all defensively sound like that. Yeah, they're good at smothering you because they're good wrestlers. They're good at that. But, you know, and some of them wrestlers are good at taking some punishment. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, them punches you taking, those are points building up. And I think Burns could outpoint him. I don't think he gonna let him make it as rugged as he think he's going to against Burns, honestly. And I think Burns might surprise some people. I still will pick. Now I say that to say I still will pick Uzman to win, because I do think that in some instances he will be his pressure and relentless, and I have seen him get better with his hands. So I still think he'll be able to do more of a ground and pound, or as I call it, a cage and pound, keep you against the cage and rough you up a little bit. I think he'll be able to maintain and do that. But Burns is a game guy, got experience, and he knows what he's doing when he's up in there, and he could catch Uzman, and it's just remain to be seen. Because I mean, if the only way for you to beat Jorge Masvidal was to stomp his feet out, I mean, you know, that's what got me questioning. I'm only judging him based on his last fight. I mean, you won that fight just off of stomping the shit out of some people's feet, so a person's foot. So
and I think the reality is too, a guy like Gilbert Burns brings that higher level of wrestling. You know what I mean? A guy that, you know, almost in question might be able to match him in his wrestling. You know what I mean? Stop each other's takedowns. Then maybe we just see a stand-up battle, and we know that Gilbert Burns has some heavy hands. He can crack. You know what I mean? Like he's put some people away, and you know, you can argue that, you know, they weren't the best. You know what I mean? And Damian Maia is kind of a little bit done, but he can crack. If he hits you with the right shot, he can definitely crack you. And he's still got some. He's not a slouch off his back. You know what I mean? He's able to work some submissions and able to kind of, you know what I mean, have some threat on the ground as far as submission wise. So I think that fight, that's a pretty close fight, I think, in my opinion. And it comes down to a lot to the damage that Usman always takes. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy that's taken tons of damage. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying right there.
A guy that can't run anymore. You know what I mean? Like has to find other ways to get his cardio in, and it works for him. You know what I mean? Like all the credit to him. Like he's getting it done brilliantly. And I'm not taking anything away from him, but there's going to be a guy one day that's a little bit younger, a little bit like, you know, healthier as far as how his career's gone. You know what I mean? And he's going to be able to go in there, and he's going to be a little bit too much for Kamaru Usman. Is Gilbert Burns going to be that guy? I don't know, man. He might be. He might be.
Might be. That's what I'm saying. He might be.
He might be.
You know what I mean? The guy that y'all always in the MMA is too unpredictable, especially UFC MMA. It's too unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You never know, man. You just as soon as you think you got a guy, the next thing you know, clips you, or he hurts you, and next thing you know, you're on your back, you getting tapped out. So it's just like UFC to me, it's like, man, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Because it was fights that I felt that Tyron Woodley should have won, and then when he shot, it was like, bro, who is this?
Mm-hmm.
Who is this Tyron? Like, who is this dude? Like, what happened to the Tyron that was just a straight killer? He coming in there, cracking your shit, but like, Tyron, you still hit hard, bruh. Like, you being hella gun shy, but you still hit hard. So why are you being so gun shy? Like, you all of a sudden don't like you worried about, is my punches gonna hurt him now? It's like, no, motherfucker, your punches still hurt. So I don't know. It's just crazy to me, man. I just feel like the fight like that, like a fighter like that, should be getting a little more props. And then, as I was saying, speaking upon Uzman's last fight, Jorge Masvidal, and we actually are hearing that Dana is in talks of Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. How close is that fight to actually happening, or is it just all hype right now to get the fans going?
I think it's more so a little bit of a hype job right now. They're talking about it realistically being the fight to make because, you know, they don't like each other, the history, you know what I mean? There's so much history there. Like, you could make fucking 3 embedded documentaries just about full hours just about kind of the history rolling up between them, you know what I mean, and getting that all sparked. So I think that it's a fight that's definitely down the line he's looking to make when probably there's a little bit die down and a lull and traction in the UFC, and when he kind of needs one of those fights. He was saying the next couple of months, and I think some people are kind of upset about that, and you know, I am probably too, because both guys are ready to go. Why not have the fight as soon as possible? You know what I mean? But we get a lot. You know what I mean? We're pretty spoiled as MMA fans as far as the content we get and the fights we get. So I'm not as long as he's talking about it. You know what I mean? That's all good. Right. You know what I mean, as long as he's mentioning it, that's good. I'll take it.
See, the thing is in MMA, you know, if you want a fight to happen, you talk about it.
Yeah.
If you want a fight to happen in MMA, you talk about it.
Yeah.
Not like in boxing. You want a fight to happen. You if you don't want a fight to happen in boxing, talk about it. In MMA, talk about it. It's more prone to happen. Dana White is more into actually, even though he's on this dictatorship thing with the way he pays guys and all that, and I still think he should go with the Muhammad Ali Act and just accept game and let your fighters get paid what they just do, because they putting their lives on the line. Honestly, Dana, your fighters got a lot more to worry about than boxers. They got kicks, knees, elbows, all kinds of chokeholds, submissions. Like, they could risk getting their shoulders torn and all kinds of stuff. I mean, Tito Ortiz has been through so many fucking surgeries throughout his lifetime because of the amount of injuries that he's had in his MMA career alone. It's ridiculous. He's a fucking cyborg. And it's like, a lot of fighters will not have the luxury of Tito Ortiz, you know, having the name that he had and had the career that he's had, to where he's able to still maintain his life in a positive way after he's done getting the shit kicked out of him. You know what I mean? So, and it's like, he's been stopped. He's been submitted. He's been all that. You know what I mean? So it's like, and he's won too. You know what I mean? He's won light heavyweight championship. He's a former light heavyweight champion. So I think he's the youngest, or one of the youngest in UFC history. So, I mean, he's a part of the record books, but at the same time, Dana, you need to pay your fighters what they deserve, because of the life that some of them don't have the luxury of maintaining a career in the UFC, for one, because it's so hard to even get in that motherfucker, let alone maintain a career in it. You know what I'm saying? Because as you notice, you have MMA wins, and then you got how many wins you got in the UFC. You know what I mean? They always have that. So it's just like, it's not really easy to get in there. You know, I mean, I know a lot of dudes, there's no disrespect to Bellator. I mean, shout out to Bellator, y'all do y'all thing. But I know a lot of dudes that I've trained with and that are pro now. And I remember when they was amateur, they pros now, but they pros through Bellator. Like, Bellator is getting them quick. These dudes getting professional Bellator fights. It's fighting in Bellator when Bellator was in San Jose and all the shit. So Bellator don't got a problem with just putting you on if they know you a decent pro fighter. But UFC is so hard to get in there. Y'all not paying. It's too hard to get in there for you to not pay, Dana. It's too hard to get in there for you to not to maintain yourself in the UFC for you to not pay people, Dana. And honestly, you need to peep game and check play. You need to bow down to the Muhammad Ali Act, just like these boxing promoters, man. Straight up, you need to.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
And that's just how I feel about it. Like it's no bullshit, no games. Like I'm just tired of it. I mean, you got, dude, Cowboy Cerrone got what? Barely 300,000 to get beat up by McGregor or some shit.
Yeah, something like that. 300K. I think 300K was the number.
You know what I mean?
350 maybe 350, something like that. Yeah.
Come on, man. Like that you got to pay me at least $1 million. I'm fighting Conor McGregor. You better I better, when I go home, I better go home with over $1 million. I'm fighting Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You might could pull that with maybe some lower opposition, maybe. Mm-hmm. But Conor McGregor, no, you paying him. He's for sure leaving with 7 figures.
Mm-hmm.
He for sure leaving with 7, no doubt. Every time Conor step in there, he leaving with 7. So anybody that step in the ring with Conor McGregor should leave with 7 figures.
Agreed.
That's your $1 million. I mean, that's your Floyd Mayweather.
Absolutely.
When people fought Floyd, they left millionaires. You know what I mean? So you fighting Conor McGregor should be the jackpot.
It's crazy because we've seen fighters. I was talking to you about this the other day, and we've seen fighters that have gone into fights with injuries. And I know that everyone goes into fights with injuries, but it's to the different extent where they don't have the money because they're not making enough money through their fights because, you know, maybe they're lower and they're not ranked. You know what I mean? Shit like that. They're not ranked, they're not winning the fight. You know what I mean? So you're not getting the win bonus. The Reebok deal's sucking half that money up. You know what I mean? Which is another thing we can talk about, which is part of the reason why the pay is so low. But we got fighters going into fights with these injuries that they're carrying throughout camp, or they're getting them right at the beginning of camp and stuff like that. And they don't have the money, even though it could make the fight. You know what I mean? It's something that you need. Like fighters I've heard can't breathe out of their noses, and they were waiting throughout the fight and then to claim it, even though it was a training injury, to claim it in the fight, you know what I mean, to get it taken care of by the UFC, because they don't have that kind of money to pay for nose reconstruction, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff, which is, I get it, you know what I mean, like, but these people are people that fight for a living, you know what I mean, and they put on damn good entertainment at the snap of fingers, you know what I mean, with like a month and a half, 2 months notice, you know what I mean, so pay these people what they're worth, pay them what they're worth, absolutely.
And also the fact that we was touching on what we talked about the other day off the line when we was talking about how the Reebok situation with Dana White, how he's basically cutting people from getting there in some sense of endorsement or sponsorship by kind of doing the thing with Reebok, and then after Reebok, then he does this thing with Venom. And for those who don't know, feel free to let the people who didn't know that about the Reebok situation and the Venom situation.
Yeah, so the Reebok situation is, for most people, it's like, I think it was a 4 or 5 year deal. I don't think it was just 3 years. I think it was a 4 or 5 year deal they signed 5 years ago now, because it's ending. I think it's just ending now this year. And the new deal with Venom is starting, but that old deal consisted of the Reebok coming in and taking away the ability for fighters to, you know, wear clothing, shorts, banners, you know what I mean, that had a lot of different promotions and stuff on it. Like, it took the ability for fighters, it took the ability for them to make money on their own means, you know what I mean, without necessarily having to fight, you know what I mean, being able to be like a sponsored athlete from a lot of these companies. And whenever they go out there, that's the reason why the company's putting them out there, you know what I mean, because they're able to advertise, you know what I mean. But UFC took that away. They only were allowed to wear Reebok. In some instances, guys would come to press conferences or talks, you know what I mean, obviously not guys like Conor McGregor with like Jordans on, and we're told they had to change them, you know what I mean, like it's stuff like that, you know what I mean, like you got to change into Reebok, or that's the way it goes. And it took a big cut away from them. The Reebok deal basically went from making them somewhere in between to like 3,400 a fight, some fighters go, the upwards is like 40,000 a fight, but this is also based off the amount of times you fight in a year. So it all kind of gets sliced up a kind of dicey way, and they kind of end up getting pretty much nothing. You know what I mean? I'd say probably average for someone unranked. I'd say it's probably close to 5K. You know what I mean?
That's nuts, man. Come on, Dana. Get it together. For that, you get the cannon, Dana. You got to get out of here with that bullshit. We ain't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? You sitting there fucking off people's careers. People putting their blood, sweat, and tears for you, Dana, so you can get the best entertainment that you could possibly give people, and you still want to shit on them motherfuckers for trying to give you their blood, sweat, and tears in their heart and their lives, bro. They lives, bro. They lives are attached to what you're doing, bro, and you just shitting on them. You get the cannon. I don't have time.
And now the question, right, is this kind of same kind of stuff going to continue with Venom? Because now they've signed this new deal with Venom Boxing. For anyone that doesn't know, Venom's a big combat sports apparel company, and now everything's going to be Venom. Gloves, shorts, T-shirts, all the shit. You know what I mean? Fight kits are all going to be Venom. It's all going to be sold off the Venom website. You know what I mean? Like,
see?
So is it going to be the same thing? I don't know.
I think it's going to be the same thing. As long as you got to think, fighters are going to always want to have their own sponsorships. They're going to want to always get their own endorsements. They're going to want to always have their own means of income. And I think what Dana is doing is like, it's like going to be like a catch-22. Because I can understand what you're saying. What he's doing is like, okay, look, I'm not finna let what's going on in boxing come over here. And these guys are getting this, and thinking they're owed all this. So he's controlling that. And I understand that from a business perspective. But then these people lives, what they do. And they deserve to be able to branch out. And if, let's say, Nike comes in and want to endorse somebody, they can't do that because they're a UFC fighter. But when I was with Bellator, or if I go with One, or if I go with these other places, yeah, I may not make as much money, but I get the opportunity to get these other endorsements and sponsors, and I can get as many as I could possibly have. But fucking with you, I'm only going to be able to have just this one, and I'm obligated to only have this one. Like that's not fair. That's just not fair to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with that, and I think that's why we're seeing kind of more movement on, you know, stuff. Kind of we're seeing it. It's 3 months ago, 2 months ago, or whatever. You know what I mean? And we're not seeing it often, but we're seeing some updates about the Ali Act kind of trying to make its way in the big lawsuit that I think has been filed for probably years ago against the UFC and trying to bring that in. You know what I mean? Claiming that they are, controlling the business. You know what I mean? As being the kind of the biggest proprietor of MMA, and they're kind of able to control the narrative in the UFC, which is true. And it's something that it's making a lot of people's lives harder when it's not necessary. You know what I mean? I don't think that, like you said, there's a certain business perspective to look at it. You know what I mean? There's a quota you've got to meet, you know what I mean? But there's always going to be other ways to do that. You know what I mean? There's always going to be other ways to do that. Always.
Right. Always. Now we gotta get on Tony. Since we getting on Dana and we shitting on Dana, we gotta get at you, Tony. We gotta get at you, bro. We on your head. I've been on you since I heard you sitting there talking about Khabib ain't fought nobody. What you mean Khabib ain't fought nobody? What is this about? That don't make no sense. Khabib ain't fought nobody.
It's shots fired.
Yeah, I think he's more so in saying Khabib didn't fight anyone. He more is referring to this new claim that Tony Ferguson is making, is that Khabib had more than half of his fights on this kind of Russian regional scene, and a lot of these bouts were 2-round bouts. You know what I mean? So therefore, people were kind of like, right away, that's kind of a red flag because those are now counted as pro bouts. Tony was making the argument that for it to be counted as a pro bout, it has to be 3 rounds. Those shouldn't be counted. If they're getting counted, I want my 2 Ultimate Fighter, or maybe 2 Ultimate Fighter and maybe another win that he said he wants those counted on his record. You know what I mean? And he also was making the claim, like I think a lot of people do, a lot of those opponents that Tony fought that Khabib fought on that Russian regional scene were guys with these kind of losing records, or they were debuting as fighters for the first time. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why Tony was kind of picking at that a little bit. In my opinion, I don't think he should be. I think that in reality, we need to kind of we need to kind of relax for a minute. You know what I mean? We kind of need to relax as far as.
I mean, for one, Ferg needs to stay healthy. While you're talking, he needs to stay healthy. That's what he needs to do.
He's got to.
He ain't got to worry about nothing.
Yeah, he's got to worry about kind of getting his mental mind state back and kind of getting in the win column instead of picking a Khabib. I think the Khabib bout's kind of long sailed its ship for him at this point. You know what I mean? I don't think we're ever going to see that happen. It's unfortunate. It was try to get booked 5 times. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that I don't think that's, you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to happen. I think that that's probably done. And it's unfortunate, but he's got to look past it as far as, you know, talking about Khabib and trying to make headlines about Khabib. And you know what I mean? A lot of this stuff does get clipped out of context, and you know what I mean? Different people will try and pull these out of people, but it was a rant on Instagram. You know what I mean? It's not like someone came and interviewed him and asked him sly questions to try and get him out, trying to get him to say something like that. This was a long worded rant on Instagram that he posted in text. You know what I mean? So
he went out his way for this.
Yeah,
he went out his way for this.
Yeah.
It's another thing that I want to touch on because I follow this dude. Well, I do follow this dude on Instagram. Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker, January 23rd. What's your pick, bro? I'm going with Mike by default. I'm being biased. I'm going with Mike. I think his work ethic and the way he trains, his mental. I think this is just one of those fights where Dana's like, I'll give you a decent opponent that you should beat. I mean, don't sleep on him. He can catch you if you're stupid, but you should be able to beat him, Mike. You should be able to do away with him. So I'm going with Mike Chan, and I'm going to go with him via submission.
Really? Okay. I kind of like that. You know what I mean? I'm actually a huge Michael Chandler fan. I'm a guy who followed him outside of the U. Like I followed him when he was in Bellator for a long time. And like you said, I think he's a guy whose story needs to kind of get picked up by the UFC. And I think this is a kind of a perfect fight for him coming into the UFC. This is kind of one of those fights where we're really going to be able to see where kind of Michael Chandler stands as far as a UFC caliber opponent and what kind of one of Bellator's top guys off a recent knockout, you know what I mean, is going to look like. And a knockout over a guy that's not crap, you know what I mean? But Benson Henderson was the guy he knocked out. But in reality, and it was their second fight, so the first fight went the distance. I don't think anyone expected the second fight to be a knockout, but still, we're seeing some different levels from him. We're seeing he's gone through adversity in Bellator. We've seen that he's been able to come back from losing his belt and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see him come into the UFC and challenge top guys from the UFC. And I think it's a perfect fight. I think it's a perfect fight. And I'm probably going with Michael Chandler as well. I would probably take him. It's good. Dan Hooker's a tough motherfucker, but I do think that I do think that you're right though. If he takes him down and he's constantly kind of using that pressure, that wrestling pressure, and hitting him with good shots, I think the ability for him to slip in a submission is probably very likely. But I don't know if Dan Hooker's not to be like, if Dan Hooker is able to keep Michael Chandler off of him, this could be definitely a different fight. But I mean, at the same time, Chandler's always going to try and get that takedown. It's always going to be the first thing that he's going to try and do. It's his bread and butter. You know what I mean? I'm going with Michael Chandler as well. I'm not sure how I want to pick that fight yet, but everyone tune into my channel because I will be releasing a video on it for sure.
Tune in. But yeah, I'm going with Mike via submission. I ain't gonna flex. That's what I'm gonna roll with. And next we got TJ Dilla, AK Pillashaw, from his 2-year suspension from getting caught off the juice.
Yep.
What's the story on this? What's the story on this, Serge?
So he was caught 2 years ago. A lot of people probably remember. I don't know. I don't remember if it was after the Garbrandt fight or it was after the Cejudo fight. I think it was after the Cejudo fight. But he was taking EPO, and EPO is something that helps you cut weight, helps you kind of, believe keep the blood cells oxygenated. So you've got, more stamina, more, you're able to go a little bit longer and stuff like that. And yeah, he was caught for that. And now he's planning on coming back. And Dana White, I didn't even include this in the description. Dana White is actually not ruling out giving him a title shot right away.
What?
That is what he's saying.
Wait.
That's a perfect.
Wait, this dude is coming off of a 2-year dirty suspension, and has no issue with possibly getting the title shot. He didn't do that. Well, he did that with John Jones, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
So all right, this true to that. This true to form. If you think about it, because you got to think TJ Dillashaw is one of UFC's big time names.
Mm-hmm.
Got a big name in the UFC, and I'm sure that when he fights, people want to see the shit. So I think, you know, the way that he got things set up with him is probably somewhat similar. I wouldn't say the same, but somewhat similar to a hints of John Jones or whatnot. So I think that's probably what he's on with T. And I'm sure they probably, the whole part about it is during the 2 years that he's been suspended, I'm sure him and Dana have been in conversation with each other and have spoken on a few things. If not Dana reaching out to him, I'm sure TJ then reached out to Dana and then spoke his piece on what he wanted to do when he came back. And for Dana to say probably this first time talking about it that TJ is going his first fight could be a title shot, or maybe his first 3 fights. Would you saying his very first fight back?
Yes, he's not ruling that out. Dana White is not ruling out giving him a title shot in his return.
Who's the champ right now?
I believe it is. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up right now. I don't even remember it off the top of my head. I've been thinking about this card too much. And everyone, right now, this is a perfect little lull. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm coming out with a full bet breakdown video tomorrow. I'm doing the undercard. I'm doing it split videos just to make it a little bit easier to digest. But as far as that, I think that it's really worth checking out. We're going to try and make a little bit of money this weekend, even though we've lost a couple fights. I think we still got the ability, even though one of my underdogs is out. Man, I think we still got the ability to try and do it. I believe that TJ Dillashaw fights at bantamweight. Sorry, I was just pulling it up here. Yeah, I believe TJ Dillashaw fights bantamweight. Regardless if he comes back, and this is all hype. You know what I mean? I think we're playing into it a little bit too much. I don't think that TJ Dillashaw is getting a title shot right off the bat back. I know what you're saying about him being a John Jones level caliber talent. You know what I mean? Like guys like a John Jones will be able to get that. You know what I mean? I think there's certain situations, you know what I mean? Like the John Jones thing was kind of left up to speculation and kind of possibility. You know what I mean? People, like we always say with the whole picogram shit, you know what I mean now, and everyone makes that joke still. Like there wasn't enough to really, you know what I mean? As far as TJ Dillashaw went, he pissed hot on both the A and B positive. You know what I mean? Like on both samples. You know what I mean? And then he knew they confronted him about it. You know what I mean? And they said, you know what I mean? You got some time if you want to announce it before us. You know what I mean? They kind of told him a little bit in advance before the media. And he, I believe, came out and made his own statement about it. You know what I mean? He didn't claim that he took something wrong. You know what I mean? He made kind of a statement like he might have not known what he was taking at the beginning. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know, blah blah blah. But
right,
he did know. You know what I mean? I don't think that he's going to be a guy that gets a shot right off the bat coming back. But that would be. Would that be out of Dana's character? Probably not.
Probably not. But I don't think TJ deserve it. I don't. I really don't. And we're going to touch on this one quick topic because I don't really like talking about these two individuals because they get on my damn nerves because they not real fighters. They fucking YouTubers. But Jake Paul is calling out everyone, including Conor, still saying the fight will be easy. What is your take on Jake Paul trying to mingle in the MMA side along with what he's doing with boxing? Do you see Jake Paul or Logan Paul or any of these guys doing anything or possibly getting a fight with any of these MMA fighters?
Yeah, I called it out pretty much. Like it had to be close to a year ago. I was kind of thinking to myself and kind of making the statement to my buddies that I thought that either Logan or Jake would end up fighting in the UFC. I just see it as just it's going to happen. You know what I mean? And I think that Logan was already kind of saying that he was upset that kind of Jake had ruined his relationship with Dana, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, why would you be upset about that? It's not that you don't have the money to buy the tickets to the events, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's because you maybe want a shot and you want to talk to Uncle Dana about getting shot, you know what I mean? But as far as Jake Paul kind of running his mouth and thinking that he can go everywhere and fight everyone, he's been called out by so many people, like 2 female fighters. He's been called out by Amanda Nunes. He's been called out by Clarissa Shields. You know what I mean? This is stuff that he won't even reply to. You know what I mean? Everyone that's serious about fighting or has some skill, you know what I mean? He won't reply to. But what he's recently kind of done is he's taken his big social media platform, and Conor McGregor recently came out with a picture of him in preparation for sparring for the Poirier fight, and his nose was bloodied, and he left the blood under his nose. You know what I mean? And he was standing right there beside some Irish or British boxer. You know what I mean? And he was in the caption. It said, you know, standing with a great lad, blah, 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 great sparring session. He's great. Salute to him. And then he left it there, and Jake Paul screen caps it, puts it in a video, goes to the guy's channel, and then starts going on to fights of his and like showing times when the kid's been knocked out. And I'm like, okay, this is getting to the point where it's getting super disrespectful. You can call out a guy like Conor and you guys can have your back and forth, but you got to leave some, and I know these guys are don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Guys roll around with so much money and so much fame around them that it doesn't really matter to them, but you know what I mean? There's going to be someone down the line that's going to check him regardless of if it's in a cage or not. You know what I mean? And if the security's not around quick enough, you know what I mean? Or he's rolling solo, he's going to get knocked the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. Y'all heard it.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Straight up. And for that, all you Paul brothers, y'all get the cannon. Both of you motherfuckers. Y'all get the cannon. We ain't got time for that shit. But yeah, so final topic, the main event this weekend, by the grace. Hopefully I get to hopefully we get to cover it, because I gotta be at work at 8:30 my time.
Okay.
So hopefully we get to cover it.
Yep.
Because I really want to cover it.
Yep.
So this weekend we got the main event, Max Holloway, my boy Cater.
Yeah,
I'm going with Max Holloway. You already know. Yesterday I told you I was going to go with Cater because I was looking at his skills and I was thinking that his pressure and his accuracy was going to overwhelm him. Mm-hmm. But doing further research, he don't hit harder than no damn Dustin Poirier. Max Holloway did move up and he did take some hellacious punishment. So I don't think Cater got the pop to get Max out of there. He got the skill to maybe go with him, but I don't think he got the pop. And he's a slow starter. And I think the amount of time it's going to take him to get ready and warmed up to go against Max Holloway, Max is going to just start picking him apart little by little by little by little. And I see Max just wearing him down and maybe stopping him late. I'm going with Max Holloway late stoppage. It's not going to a decision, in my opinion. I feel like Max can't afford it to go into a decision. I feel like he needs to get this dude out of here because everybody's hyping this dude up to beat Max Holloway, like he just got it for Max Holloway or whatever. And I think Max gotta go out there and he gotta beat the fuck out this dude. He gotta show these people, motherfucker, I'm still Max Holloway. And y'all getting at me like I'm some 30-some-odd-year-old dude. I'm still in my prime here. I'm 29. I'm in my prime, cuz. Y'all got me fucked up, and I really think Max you need to show him, Max, and I think he'll show him this weekend against Cater, and I got Max getting him late stoppage. What you got?
This is going to be a really good fight. And I think this is a really good fight to kick the year off. You know what I mean? I think this is one of those fights that's really going to set the year off for the UFC on a really good tone. I think when you look at both these guys, you see an 18-6 record in the UFC for Max Holloway. He's been here forever. You know what I mean? He's fought some of the best that the UFC has to offer, especially in the featherweight division. Like you said, he's moved up. He's fought the heavier weight. He's wanted to take on guys like Khabib. He's been there at a moment's notice trying to get fights like that. He's a very game guy, has a very good mentality on life, and you know what I mean, everything that encompasses around that. And he's very intelligent. You know what I mean? I don't think people give that enough to him. He knows what he's doing in there. A lot of these blitzes are very educated blitzes that he likes to kind of use to kind of measure you, and he likes to put that pace on you. I think that when we're talking about Max Holloway, I think everyone, their mind goes to the two Volkanovski fights that he's just had, obviously, the two most recent fights. The last fight does have a lot of controversy around it, because I think that, in my opinion, I think he might have won that fight. You know what I mean? Like, I was rewatching that fight, man. I don't know. Like, you can argue he's winning that fight, and I think where a lot of that went, and where you see a lot of this crap, and here's another point that we can talk about, is the judging. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because that all rolls into this. It ties into this. There isn't a well-rounded enough judging system or any kind of rule set for these people to follow. And the people that are getting employed by these same commissions that are employing the judges for boxing, you know what I mean? And most of them are boxing judges, you know what I mean? Like, in reality, it kind of makes you go, what are we doing here? This is the highest level of mixed martial arts. The UFC is the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? Let's find a way to get some actual new system implemented. You know what I mean? Like, there's like the UFC, I think, has a lot of these kind of crazy problems, but I don't think that we necessarily choose to look at them because they're such a big entity. You know what I mean? And everything has problems. Nothing ever goes smooth. Someone's always going to kind of get fucked a little bit in the end, but come on, we're seeing guys like Max Holloway lose a pretty bad decision, and I don't think that necessarily let's blame that all on the judges. Let's not say that. But like, the judging topic's a little bit separate off the hand. But that fight was a very good fight, and I think that as far as from what the first fight looked like to the second fight, night and day. You know what I mean? Like, just the stance, the ability, the movement throughout the fight, like, was looking a lot better. Regardless, that lead leg of his always does get chewed up. You know what I mean? And that's been we've seen it kind of through his career and in Calvin Kattar's career, that if you want to have some success over Calvin Kattar or Max Holloway, a good way to start kind of stopping them a little bit really quickly,
taking that front leg.
Take that front leg out. You know what I mean? Stop that movement. And
that's just from, being heavy with them hands, man. I had that problem too sometimes when I do Muay Thai. I be trying to, focus on my jab, try to solidify my jab and all that. And then every time I try to do that, the first thing they do is they chop the front leg, because I have to be planting on that front foot to have a stable jab. And it's really hard to kind of, move and jab at the same time on the Thai boxer or even an MMA guy, because when you're trying to move on an MMA guy, trying to solidify your jab, he's like, bro, I ain't got to take this shit. I'm going to just go for your legs and shoot and try to take you fuck down. So it's like, it's really hard to not take leg punishment when you heavy with your hands, man. That's going to be really hard. And I think if Max played the smart guy, I think he might fight that fight and know, like, okay, this dude wants to throw hands. You got to think, who got more to prove? Honestly, in my opinion, Kattar has more to prove than Max Holloway, because Max Holloway, don't get me wrong, Max Holloway can't lose. But if Max Holloway beats Kattar, you're not going to be surprised, are you?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be like, oh, my God, Max. Well, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, it's Max Holloway. He's supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if Kattar wins, you're going to be like, Max is washed, or Kattar must be that guy. Mm-hmm. So nobody is really – the pressure, in my opinion, is on Kattar. It's not on Max. Because Max, if you win, you Max Holloway. You're supposed to fucking win. You know what I mean? So – I just really feel like if Max make Kattar just basically get over aggressive, use that shit against him, and just basically use all that against him and just beat his ass. You know what he want to do. He don't got dimensions like that. I don't see Kattar having dimensions and he's trying to set you up. Like, Chandler got dimensions. You know what I'm saying? He was a wrestler that didn't have no hands, and now the motherfucker got hands like crazy, and he can use his hands and then shoot, take you down, and beat you up, and then put you in a submission. Like, he can really do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't see, like I said to you yesterday, I don't see Kattar being that guy, and I see that's the only way that he could get Max. He's going to have to pummel him, beat him up, because Max can take punishment.
Yeah,
he ain't no punk.
Yeah,
he's not gonna go down off the first shot. He's not gonna go down the first time his nose bleed. You bust his lip. It's Max Holloway, bruh. It's Max Holloway. That's not gonna work. Okay, you got to beat the living shit out of him, beat the fight out of him, beat him to the ground, submit him, or just knock him the fuck out. If you just don't beat him off of points. And I for damn sure don't see Kattar beating him on points. No. I don't see him outpointing with the kicks, the teeps, the spinning kick. Like, no. I just don't. You know what I mean? And what we always say in Muay Thai, if you want to mummify a guy that's a heavy puncher, you just kick him. Kick him. Just keep kicking him. Make him keep that hand up. Keep that hand up. And I don't see him being a good kick catcher. I don't see him catching kids, taking people down. I don't see him doing that. So I think Max could get him with his kicks. Like I said, late round stoppage, because I don't think Kattar's going to do too much, unnecessary unnecessary pressure. That's what the word I'm looking for. Unnecessary pressure. Yeah. I think he's going to really be selective in how he utilizes his pressure. But I think Max Holloway, being the tactician that he is, like we were saying earlier, a slow fight is a Max Holloway fight.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think if he just keeps him at bay, uses his kicks after a while. Now that doesn't mean that Kattar might not land a few punches, but like I said, you could bust that man nose, bust his lip. It's Max Holloway. He's still going to keep coming. And I just see him breaking them down as the fight goes on, and just boom, fight's over. And I see Max Holloway late stoppage.
Honestly, I could agree with that. I don't know if he's going to have enough to get a guy as tough as Calvin Kattar out of there. But I do see Max Holloway winning this fight. I do think the ability and just the different tools in the toolbox that Max Holloway has compared to Calvin Kattar, like you were saying, like from the kicking perspective and from those kinds of perspectives, the ability to throw, set traps, he does things for a purpose. I see Calvin Kattar, he does things for a purpose. Don't get me wrong, and he's got a beautiful right hand. Shout out to his striking coach, Jake Manini. Produced some fantastic strikers like Calvin Kattar, Rob Font, Rodriguez. Like all these guys are able to throw these hands crisp down the pipe, and their boxing is beautiful. You know what I mean? It's stuff that we don't normally get to see in the UFC, and it's kind of a treat. So Calvin Kattar's always got the ability to clip him. We've seen him, you know what I mean, not even use his hands, you know what I mean? In the Jeremy Stephens fight, he was getting his ass kicked. The first round, I would have given it to Jeremy Stephens. Everyone would have given it to Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens pressed him. Calvin Kattar doesn't fight well going backwards at all. You know what I mean? Like he goes backwards, and kind of when you make him fight going backwards, he's not as good of a fighter. You know what I mean? He doesn't really like to throw punches going backwards. He likes to plant his feet, really set on his feet, and then throw. You know what I mean? Honestly, I think that even in that Jeremy Stephens fight, Jeremy Stephens came on in that second round. He started to start bringing it on again, kind of keeping the same shit up right towards the end of the round. And then Calvin Kattar stepped in with the lead elbow and knocked him cold out, knocked him right out, and finished him up with 3 more elbows on the ground. But we've seen him go against guys.
You think that Max Holloway was going to keep him on his back foot or not? That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what he has to do. I hope so. I hope he takes almost that same movement style he had in the Volkanovski fight and brings it in. You know what I mean? Constantly circling, constantly kicking. I want him to be able to throw leg kicks, because I think it's stupid to say that he's not going to get leg kicked. Calvin Kattar's going to leg kick him. You know what I mean? Calvin Kattar does have some good leg kicks. You know what I mean? He can hurt your leg. You know what I mean? We've seen him really put some hurt on some guys' legs, but we've seen Max basically take leg kicks for 5 rounds from Volkanovski, who's a killer with his leg kicks. You know what I mean? He did it for basically 2 fights. So honestly, I think that's probably the way that's going to go. I don't think that the kicks are going to play into the role too much, but I think that if Calvin Kattar's going to be successful, he needs to be using that long jab. He needs to be putting out actual combos, maybe even setting some feints, setting some traps, moving his head well. I think that he's going to look to time Max coming in, and that's how Max is going to get at him. Kind of going to get him is Max is going to come in with those flurries, and Kattar's got to have that ability to select when he's going to exchange with Max. You know what I mean? Get him on the end of those 3-4 punch flurries, move out of the way, and then attack. You know what I mean? I think that's more of a way to win for Calvin Kattar, and there is ways to win, but just even like if we take guys that are similar to fight style or kind of have that similar kind of ability to move and kick, like a guy like Zabit, like he's able to pick you apart. This fight is 5 rounds though, you know what I mean? So Kattar having that ability to come on late, that's really going to help him. You know what I mean? Like the Zabit fight, he started coming on at the end there and really tagging Zabit, but I don't know. I think I think it's Max Holloway's fight to win. In my opinion, I think it's Max Holloway's fight to win.
Yeah, and it would be an upset for Kattar to win, even though, and I'm going to say this on wax, I was on the phone with Serge last night, and I picked Kattar, and then I watched some film, and I had to remind myself of who the fuck Max Holloway is and who he's been throughout his UFC career, and I just see the experience being a little too much, and then with even this new information of him not even being able to fight on the back foot, and Max Holloway is, even though Kattar, you have fought taller opposition, and you did beat the guy that they said that because of his height and his experience that you couldn't beat him, and you did. I give you props for that. But this is Max Holloway. Okay, it's a different animal, and you don't want to be on the ground with him. Because while I'm saying it might be a late stoppage, Max might what if Max can't deal with him on the feet and he just say, fuck it, I'm just take the shit to the ground and just get him the fuck out of here. Because I know he can't handle me on the ground. I know he can't deal with me on this ground. I just get him on the ground, maybe give him a little ground and pound, or hell, his jits, I know his jits ain't touching me. I know it ain't touching me. So I'm just going to just get him out of there real quick if he can't see him from the shoulders. Do you think his takedown defense would be would be a problem in the fight? Because I think if Max can't get him on the feet, he's going to take it to the ground.
You do? That's actually a good question. I don't know. I think that would be maybe a smarter way for Max to maybe go about it, maybe to nullify, maybe to tire out Calvin Kattar a little bit. You know what I mean? Take him down. But I'm not sure if I do see Max Holloway taking him down or being able to take him down. I think if he goes in for one or two, we're not going to see a guy like Max Holloway go for, you know what I mean? If he can't get that takedown, he's going to go for 4 more or 5 more or chain a couple punches together, you know what I mean? And then start trying to shoot the takedown. We're not going to see that from a guy like Max Holloway. And Calvin Kattar has been known against the smaller, stockier guys, kind of like a Danny Gay, you know what I mean? Against guys like Jeremy Stevens, that he's shown that he can totally defend those takedowns. You know what I mean? He's got a good job at defending the takedowns and then almost reversing you so he's on top of you, where he's in a position where he can just rain down punches. You know what I mean?
Got you. So, hey, there goes that idea. So, basically, we're looking at a war, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it's going to be a war.
Straight stand-up, brawl. It's either you or me, and it ain't finna be me. So who is it gonna be? Like we're in for a fight. In a sense, it could be a fight for the ages. I'm stoked about it. I'm hoping that my schedule is right so we can both cover it. And let's get to the chat. We haven't said anything pertaining to the chat. We are an hour into the podcast and we have not acknowledged the chat. We both would like to come and apologize. It's just that we have a lot going on and we got to get to everything. So we apologize if we don't get to the chat as quickly as possible. But hey, man, we got a lot to talk about with y'all, man. We got a lot going on. So you got to let us get it out first before we get able to get a holla at y'all real quick. And I'm going to go start at the top. You know what I'm saying? What's up, WMMA? Unrivaled said, "What's up, Pat? How you doing? What's going on?"
What's going on, Unrivaled, man? I appreciate you coming out, man. I hope you're still listening.
What's up, Bria? Daniel, what's going on? We good up in here.
Good,
he says Poirier. He says Poirier at 170. He says harder fights. He says harder fights for him at 170. Yeah, we were saying that too. We were saying that Dustin Poirier does better at 55. We both was in agreement to that. I think maybe it might be a lot more money fights for him at 70, but I honestly think he's stronger and better at 155 pounds in my
absolutely.
Everybody says Conor lives the attention fighting brings him. He loves the attention fighting brings him. That's what keeps him coming back. Yeah, I got you. For sure. What's up, Mad Dog? For sure, man. Feel free. And if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe to MMA Bet Surgery, man. ASAPolis.
I appreciate it, people, man. I'm just trying to grow this shit. Just started a month ago, but coming at you with videos all the time. Like I was saying earlier, I got 2 videos coming out tomorrow, so be prepared. And then I got a bet breakdown video coming up before that. So
Right. What's up, Major Key? What's going on with you, player? What's up with you? George the Doom Slayer. What's going on? Good evening with you. What it do, Loke? We got Loke in the building. We got a question that we missed because we were too busy talking about this shit. George the Doom Slayer says, in my opinion, Chael Sonnen is one of the greatest fighters to never win a UFC title. What do you guys think? I'm gonna let you take that one.
Okay. Honestly, I'm a huge Chael Sonnen fan, and I think that, you know, despite you know what I mean, coming up short like he did against Anderson, you know what I mean. I think that was definitely his closest chance, and he just came up short by about that much. You know what I mean. I think that he's definitely a legend for sure. One of the greatest. I'd have him in the top 5 for sure. I don't know necessarily about being the greatest, because that categories kind of goes down to personal opinion. You know what I mean? Like when a guy loses a fight like that, you know what I mean? Like they're either meant to be there, or they're not meant to be there. Like I have some guys in mind, like Yoel Romero, that have lost, like, you know what I mean, questionable decisions. You know what I mean? And he's one of the guys that I've got as one of my greatest fighters to never win a UFC title. But like, I can hear what you're saying, and I totally do agree with you. Of Chael being in there is in the top 5 for sure for me.
For me, I mean, I wouldn't say he's the greatest fighter to never win the title. I don't think he had it. I think he was a good fighter. I mean, his wrestling was really what got him by. He was good with the ground and pound, keep you against the cage and just roughing you up. And I think once you were able to get past his wrestling, he really didn't have nothing for you past that. I mean, Chael Sonnen, to me, he could sell a fight though.
Yeah,
that motherfucker could sell a fight. I mean, he could sell a fight to Peanuts.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. Chael Sonnen can sell a fight. And I think that's a part of the reason why his YouTube channel is doing so well, because Chael Sonnen is such a good, outspoken guy. Yep. He knows how to carry a crowd. I mean, like I said, the man can sell a fight to Peanuts, man. I mean, he's just that guy. He's a very outspoken guy. But I do not think he's one of the greatest fighters to never win a belt. I just think he's underrated for what he's done for the sport. That's
a good way of putting it. Yeah,
he was a guy that wasn't afraid to, like, he didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't care. If he felt he could beat you, he was calling you out. He was talking all the shit about you. So I think in that he brought more trash talk, because it really wasn't. When trash talk in MMA, you would think Tito Ortiz.
Yeah, of course.
From what I knew was Tito Ortiz. Chael Sonnen Chael Sonnen talk big shit.
Yeah.
You know? Yep. Shout out to Chael Sonnen, man. And we got Loke says Khabib is not fighting Conor again. He ain't doing it. He ain't doing it. He's not doing it.
He ain't doing it.
He's not doing it. And Loke also said Uzman's chin made of iron. And he said everything couldn't knock him out. Everything that Kobe hit him with couldn't knock him out. We'll see, man. We got to see. Because at the end of the day, it's other people that can wrestle. And he might not get knocked out, but he can sure get submitted. So it's MMA, baby. And we got boy Benjamin Kingdom says, shout out to the surgeon.
Shout out, Ben. Appreciate it, man.
And Unrival Talk cut me in and said, guys, man, if you like MMA, subscribe to my boy MMA Bet Surgeon, man. For sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it, people.
Oh wait, we got some more Dana White foolery. WMMAC now says, Dana says MMA is an opportunity, not a career. Wow. Whoa. Wait a minute. Hold up, Dana. Wait, hold up. Like, really, Dana? Hold on, Dana.
Shots fired.
Hold on, Dana. Like, really, Dana? Like, come on now. You hurt my soul with that one, Dana. It's not a career, bro. It's not a career. Are you serious? Like, are you kidding me? It's not a career. The MMA is not a career. Like, so what is it? I mean, it's not an opportunity. You get opportunities, but it's not just an opportunity. Like, what does that even mean? Like, that's crazy.
It's the craziest thing ever, especially in an organization that doesn't even let you have sponsors. You know what I mean? It's the most bullshit statement. You know what I mean? It goes right back on it. It's just such a stupid statement, but honestly, they do. And in my opinion, there is some guys, and I'm sure everyone would agree, there is some people in the UFC currently that shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Or guys that maybe get in due to fights, maybe on like the Contender Series against guys that maybe aren't a high level, or you know what I mean? Like you see that, you definitely do. So I don't know, but I definitely think that that's bullshit. But I see Dana. I see what Dana's saying. He lets in a lot. He definitely lets in, probably in his eyes, a lot of people. Like I don't even know how many contracts he ended up. I think it was 43 contracts just on the Contender Series last year.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Like he multiple a night. Every Tuesday night they do Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. They'll do like just like a main card. You know what I mean? Just like 6 fights or whatever, or 8, sometimes like 7, 8 fights, and then those best fights, if you impress him enough, and it's normally a knockout, you know what I mean, or a crazy submission. If you just get that, if you get the right guy in there, and I've seen some guys that are questionable, you know what I mean, questionable to be in there as far as not being able to go even 2 rounds, you know what I mean, until they're dead, blowing gas, you know what I mean. So I don't know. He does let a lot of people in.
Yeah, MMA scene said, WMMA scene says this is a good format, try and improvement. For sure, we appreciate that, man. We put a lot of work in this, bro, and within 24 fucking hours, bro. We spent a lot of work on this within the last 28 to 48 hours. Me and this man spent a lot of time on the internet, talking on the phone, constant communication to give you this content, people. And we plan on giving you this content every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Come on in and get a piece of this combat cannon with your boy DT3 TheBoonMan, MMA Bet Surgeon. This is not just a one-time thing. This is every Tuesday night. Come right here for your live MMA talk and news for sure. Right here. And pretty soon, we get some shit together. We're going to be on MMA Bet Surgeon page too. Don't worry about it. They ain't going to all be here. It's going to be over there too.
Yeah, guys, we totally appreciate it. We just hope, you guys share this with people that, enjoy MMA or would like to, join the discussion. Like at the end, like we're always going to kind of, try and answer comments, try and answer questions, talk to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And Loeb says this podcast proves everything is possible. Of course. Of course. Of course it is. What's up, Toad? What's going on? We got the MMA Genie in the building. Says, yo. And he just said he just interviewed UFC Tough One fighter Diego Sanchez. For sure.
I saw that.
That's nice. Nice. Good looking. What's up, Jess? I know it's you. What's going on with the folk? Good to see you. What's up, J Blues Radio? What's going on with you? What's going on with you? Hey, man, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir.
For sure glad to be here. And J Blues also says Holloway is too crafty, too experienced, and too game for Qatar. I mean, we both pretty much said that.
Yep.
Pretty much said that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yep. That's pretty much how it's going to go. So we pretty much agree with that. And Willie Boy says, do you guys think Chandler makes a splash in the UFC? You wasn't here when we got to touch on that, so we'll get right back to that. We both said that this fight against Burns is a fight that, in a sense, he is.
It's not against Burns, against Hooker.
Hooker, yeah, sorry, Burns' fight.
Yeah. It's all good.
Against Hooker, we said that's a fight that we feel like Chandler is able to win. And I think that's why they put him in there with Hooker, because, I mean, Hooker is a game guy, but it's a guy that a fighter of Chandler's caliber should be.
Mm-hmm.
But don't sleep on Hooker, whatnot. But I think that given if Chandler is the Chandler that we hope he's going to be, he should do pretty well, even in a sense become a UFC champion.
Absolutely.
Just based on his work ethic. I mean, the man works hard. If you follow that man on Instagram, if you don't follow Chandler or Michael Chandler on Instagram, follow him on Instagram. I'm telling you, that man works hard all day, every day. Like, it's scary how much he trains and he's dedicated to just getting better as a fighter and into the sport. He's a very motivational guy. I mean, sometimes I do think you're a little over the top. You know what I mean? Sometimes do be a little corny to me, but I do respect your work ethic. I do respect the amount of work that you've put in and that you are continue to put in the sport of MMA and also all of combat sports as a whole. I appreciate you. And here at the Combat Cannon, we salute you for that. We grateful for you. You know what I mean? So we're hoping that you live up to your potential and you become a UFC champ. And I mean, I feel like he's going to make some noise. He's going to do some things in the UFC, I think.
Absolutely. I think that sky's the limit. Sky's the limit for a guy like Michael Chandler. Totally. Like we already kind of touched on, and like Boone just said, it's my opinion kind of shares with his. Sky's the limit for a guy that works that hard and who has that ability to show that, he's already can go through adversity and, take the toughest test that Bellator had to offer him. I think that I'm excited. I'm super excited, people. That's something like, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Too. Jay Blue says if Qatar tries to stand with Max, he will not be there. Holloway will control the range, make him miss, and pick him apart. Qatar has very nice hands, though. I'm hyped. why do I see that happening? Like, just because you got to think Max do got more range. And I think Qatar will have to work a lot harder to close that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the skills will be I really think if what we saying is true based on just Holloway's hand skills alone, I think he'll be able to control the distance with his feet, and he'll be able to control the distance with his hands. And I think Qatar will not be able to land too much flush because I mean, think about it. Holloway's last few opponents have had very good hands, and I think Holloway learned from that. And I don't think he's gonna get caught with nothing stupid. I don't think that's gonna happen.
No.
Now, don't get me wrong, because like I said, like we both said, Qatar is a game god. But I think if Holloway is able to control the range, and he's able to take advantage of that front foot and get him lifting that front foot, checking, because that's something that a lot of boxers or heavy-handed guys really they don't like to do. They don't like to check because they want to get off. When they got to check, it stops them. So if Holloway gets him in the check mode, I think that's when he could, if he wanted to, take him to the ground, because now he doesn't want to plant. So if he can't plant, he can't sprawl, can't do shit. He has no foundation, no nothing. So I see that being a possible good take, Jay Blues. Appreciate that take, man.
Yeah, good take. I appreciate that. Yeah, Hooker's a great test. Like I was kind of saying earlier, like, no, Hooker ain't no slouch. This is kind of the perfect guy for him to come in there against. It's a guy who's game, who's always gone into wars, who's not easy to finish. You know what I mean? This is going to be a guy it's going to test Michael Chandler, and it's perfect because it's going to be like a test kit. We're going to be able to know right where he's at, pretty much right off the bat. It's going to be perfect.
Said Poirier was able to touch Holloway a ton. Yeah, that was Poirier. We already said that Poirier was able to touch him, but Cater ain't Poirier. And if Holloway was able to stand up to Poirier, you think he won't be able to stand up to Cater? Yeah. I'm sorry, bro. This is not a I had to catch you outside the stream, because this is just a straight stream with just me and Serge, and we just go in and we doing our thing, and it's pretty much what we do. We don't put the link in the chat. This is not a open panel.
Yeah.
Just want to be clear, man. When you come to the Cannon, it's not an open panel. You know what I mean? We only time you might see somebody else on there, they'll already be backstage with me from the start of the show. I know who it is, bro. I know it's Justin Jr. I know who it is. I'm just saying it's not an open panel. The Cannon is not an open panel. Who you see on the panel, whoever we start with, that's who we get. I do not put the link in the chat for the Cannon. Catch me on Boxing Talk. I gotta catch me on hit my Instagram up at DT_boom, and we could rap, because you do get information. MMA Genie does get information. He does get interviews. So that will be great for you to come on the channel. We'll love to have you on the show and let us know any of the MMA fighters that you've spoken with and what's up next for them. That'll be great for you to come on the show, Genie. Feel free to hit my Instagram up, or even hit up Serge's Instagram, and we can come together, because you got to understand, this is not even though it's on my channel, it's not just my show. This is our show. This is me and Serge's show. This is not just my show. So feel free, if you have any questions, hit up Serge on his Instagram, and let him know your Instagram, Serge, because a lot of people don't know your Instagram.
Yeah, that's my personal Instagram. I'm not going to share that for now. I'll share that another time. I didn't even got anything on that Instagram. It's a personal one.
Oh, okay, got you. Instagram if you want.
What's up?
They can hit my Instagram up, and I'll just hit you back and let you know what's going on.
Yeah, man. You just go through me, man. Or just hit me on post on my channel or something like that, and I'll find a way to get in contact with you. You know what I mean? I
got you. Because we want to keep a lot of good MMA knowledge and information on this panel, and we want to keep y'all up to date with MMA news. We don't want to come up with just regular standard bullshit. We want to give y'all what's really going on in the juicy meat potatoes.
Yeah.
Going on in the MMA world, man. Especially when fights is coming up, and like it's a fight this weekend. So can't wait. And we'll also be covering fights. So it's not just gonna be every Tuesday. We'll be talking about MMA news and everything and fights and stuff. We'll also be covering fights either on my channel or on the Surge channel. So, and you will be getting updates and posts and letting you know like when we're going to be doing this. So we're trying to build it up and bring in the MMA community along with the boxing community. And it's all about bringing all the communities together, and we all keeping it one as combat sports as a whole. So just trying to bring us all together, man. There's too many YouTubers that's divided and don't know how to bring us together. Mm-hmm. That's another stream for another day. I'm not gonna get into that. That's not that's for later on. But we're gonna keep it G with it. Sorry, no, his IG is personal, Gene. So I'm not just hit my IG up at DT_boom. If you want to have any questions, you have any questions about sliding on to the combat canon. If you have any information about any MMA fighters or any just MMA organization and what they got going on, feel free to slide on. And like I said to y'all before, man, if you haven't subscribed, man, please go subscribe to MMA Bet Surgeon. He's a new guy, up and coming. He just created this channel just a month ago. So congratulations, bro.
Yeah, man. I just saw Wooly said 40, so let's get it, man. We're just building up, man. That's just the way it goes. You just build up, and who gives a shit, man? You just start low and you just go. You just grow. Yep. You just put it out there just for people that care. I couldn't give a shit. Like I've streamed two people, one people. Don't give a shit. Don't give a shit if anyone's listening. Don't give a shit if it's my buddy listening. You know what I mean? I did it to him. He's in the chat right now. You know what I mean? It's the same shit, different day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My Holloway cater predictions are coming out tomorrow. We were kind of busy kind of setting this thing up last minute, and I was kind of just writing down all my predictions. And man, a lot of people were putting these predictions out early, and I take a shitload of time to get my knowledge up about these fights before I make a pick. And all these picks are really like, you know what I mean? You know, you try and make them as best as possible, and as educated as possible. And a lot of these fights that have already they're already getting moved and picked off the card. You know what I mean? But as far as tomorrow MMA Genie, I'll be doing that. Look at Dan Schnur. I don't think Cater will be able to put him away. Don't get me wrong, but I think he will definitely be able to touch him and make it a scrap. Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a beautiful way to kick the year off. I think that people are just going to be absolutely, you know what I mean, really excited for the UFC and really what's excited with what's to come, especially in the upcoming week. You know what I mean? I think this is just going to be a perfect start. I think it's going to be an absolute scrap. Yeah, man, I hear you, Genie. Yeah, man. Of course, that's the way you got to do it, man. You got to watch tape. You got to go over everything, and you got to review everything, and that's how you come up with the best predictions. Yeah. Holloway decision. Hey, yeah. Holloway decision. That's definitely a good pick right now. I believe that's at something like 2.2 or whatever odds. But I'll talk about that another day. Another
3-rounder, huh? This is not a 5.
This is a 5, isn't it?
5.
It's a 5.
It's a 5? Okay. That's why I said late. I'm telling you, I think he going to get him.
No, it made sense. It made sense. That's why it made sense.
I don't think it's on 5. I don't think it's on 5. I'm telling you, Holloway late stoppage. Holloway late stoppage. I'm telling you. And it's going to be – no, I said I'm going to stick by what I said the first time. Holloway submission. I'm going to stick by it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So I'm not going to keep switching on you. I'm going to stay with it. Holloway late submission. He gonna pummel him. He gonna break him down, and then he gonna get him down on the ground and submit him. Cause dude ain't gonna want to go out like no sucker. He gonna take all that punishment, and Holloway gonna be like, "Fuck, what I gotta do?" Then he gonna get him down, tap him out. Fights over. 3rd round submission. Late 3rd round. It's gonna be like a minute to 2 minutes left in the 3rd. Tapped him out.
I like that. That's
what I'm going with. I'm not changing up. Nope. Can't make me.
I like it. That's perfect. You heard it here first, people, on Combat Cannon.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going. And if you want to hear in Surge's prediction, you got to tune into the channel.
Yeah, man. It's all going to be on my channel, whole card.
I'm going to give it on his channel. So
yeah, man. It's the absolute whole entire thing, man, is going to be up there tomorrow. I'm going to do it in 2 different videos, timestamps throughout the thing. And yeah, it's going to be good.
It's going to be popping. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I want to see your prediction. I want to see who you pick.
Yeah, man. Like I said, one of my underdogs, one of my dogs that I was going to ride on, Mari Akhmedov is already out. So that card, you know what I mean? We talked about that earlier. It's getting pushed for COVID. So That one right there is that one's already gonna suck because I was really leaning on that one and I was really high on him. But there's always, like I said, there's always some money to be won. We can always find a way to find a fight to pick. You know what I mean? So it's been great.
And Daniel says, first card ever on ABC, eh? You guys talk about that yet? We really didn't talk about the significance of that, but you know, I mean, if you want to touch on it, feel free. He says it's a massive milestone for UFC and MMA. I mean, my opinion, I don't think MMA being on basic television, because I feel like, in my opinion, it's long overdue. MMA is arguably the biggest combat sports engine in all of combat sports at this particular time, and it's been that for at least the past 10, probably 15 years. Let's be real. MMA especially UFC, has been the only consistent force in combat sports as a whole. Let's be clear. So there's no reason why any major network should not have been making any moves or deals with Dana White or the UFC. They probably have their reasons, but the UFC and MMA have been the engine that's been pushing combat sports and bringing a lot of eyes to combat sports. Even a lot of boxing fans have left boxing and went over and became MMA fans. So, I mean, I feel like to me, I don't look at it as a milestone. I look at it as something that's just long overdue, something that should have been happened long time ago. And it's nice that they finally, and plus, you know, Dan, and then to be real with you, it might be Dana White's fault too, because he's always trying to push pay-per-view. Every UFC is pay-per-view, and people are paying out the ass for it. And I'm like, you know, give us some good free fights, Dana. You still gonna get a check. You still get paid. Give us some good free stuff. Come on now, you know. And Jeannie, you know what? We forgot about a particular fight, and we didn't touch on it. And I'm glad MMA Jeannie had to come in and remind us about it.
Oh, you want to talk about it, eh?
We got to talk about it. We got to talk about the legends, the Carlos Condits, the Matt Browns. We got to talk about it, man. We got to talk about it. Yeah. I'm going with Condit. I think Brown is a good bruiser. He good puncher and all that, but he doesn't like to put. From what I've seen, Matt Brown likes to take to the ground and just do his thug thing with you and manhandle you. And I don't see him doing that with Carlos Condit. I think Condit is a little too athletic. I think he's not going to fall for a lot of those takedowns. And I think maybe Brown of 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, probably be more of an issue. But this one, I just don't think he got it. And I really think I'm gonna go with Carlos Condit because of his athleticism. And I think that'll play the difference.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw Condit kind of snap that 5-fight losing streak to, you know, what I would call pretty high level caliber opponents: Chisea, Oliveira, Magny, Maya. This was in 2016, Maya. You know what I mean? So a lot better. And then Robbie Lawler, that was in 2016. So obviously, you know what I mean? Not the same. He just beat Court McGee in a decision. Even that fight, you know what I mean, kind of was a little closer than I think people would have wanted. I haven't really watched the tape over for that fight yet. I'm just in the process of doing that tonight. But as far as this fight goes, this is going to be a good fight. Like what Jeannie's saying, as far as takedown defense goes, that's going to play a huge role in this shit. You know what I mean? Like that always does. It always will. You know what I mean? Is Condit going to be able to keep Matt Brown off of him? Is Matt Brown going to be able to not get clipped by Carlos Condit? I don't know. This is definitely one of the going to be those fights to, you know what I mean? I don't want to put it too lightly, but maybe start getting these guys and moving them somewhat out of the UFC, or having these kinds of fights where, you know, maybe one of these guys fights another older guy, and then maybe one of these guys, you know, gets out of the UFC. You know what I mean? They're just getting towards the end of their careers. They both legends in their own right. No hate on any of these guys, but honestly, I think this fight for me is a toss up with just how diverse both guys are. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd probably have to go Condit though. I'd probably have to go Condit with what we just saw and how, you know, Matt Brown did just come off of a knockout to Miguel Baeza. You know what I mean? And then the two guys he fought before him, Ben Saunders and Diego Sanchez, where he got 2 knockouts. Sanchez, obviously, at the end of that was in 2017. See, like it's been you see a big gap and stuff. You know what I mean? And this is all, this is all stuff that I'm coming up with off the top of my head because I haven't wrote my prediction for this fight yet. But honestly, I think that the movement of Condit, I think his ability to mix up elbows with his shots, I think that that's probably what he'll catch.
Yeah, that's the only thing, bro. That's like the only thing. Like if Condit didn't have that, I'm going with Matt.
Yeah,
I'm going with Matt, but I'm just like Condit is going to be tricky. He's going to do certain shit, and Matt Brown is kind of the guy. He kind of dare to be hit, and if he takes something that he's not really ready to take, that's what's going to be the difference maker. But at the same time, if Condit don't catch Matt, it's going to be good night.
Yep.
Or you finna be tapped out. You're gonna be tapping somewhere. So, but I'm still gonna go with Condit. I'm gonna go with Condit. Decision split.
Yeah, I'm going decision too as well. I don't think either one of these guys is gonna have I think they're perfect. It's like I said, it's perfect fight for both guys. Let these two older legends kind of fight each other. You know what I mean? Perfect. No killers in sight. You know what I mean? So I like this. I like this fight. I like it a lot. I think a decision's definitely going to be the way to go.
Hey, feel free, Jeannie, bro. Come through. Like I said, we could. I mean, you get all the insight and all the information, and you do interviews. So I'm with it. And WMMA says UFC will be the third MMA promotion feature on network television. Elite XC and Strikeforce did it first. That's a fucking shame that Elite XC that don't even exist no more and Strikeforce did something first, and UFC is still here, and they're just now starting to do that. That's kind of sad, bro. That's terrible, bro. Like that. That's ridiculous.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
That don't make no sense, bro. Like it's no reason for you to have been around, and even when they were doing it, you were still the bigger promotion company, and you couldn't get that. Dana, you with the bullshit.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Take it how you want to. I gives to you. Dana, you get the cannon. Ain't nobody got time for that shit. That's ridiculous, bro. Ain't nobody got time for none of that, bro. No. That shit is ridiculous. You know what I mean? For sure. Hey, and Jeannie, whenever you get some interviews, because like I said, this is all MMA talking news, bro. Feel free. You got to let us know. Because if you get any scoops, we got to give it to them. You get any scoops, anything, bro. Slide. Oh, hit me on Instagram, and I will shoot you a link, and we can get you on the show, and we can talk this MMA talk, bro. Shoot me the shit, bro, because we trying to talk this real MMA talk here, man. So if you get an exclusive, you better bring your little young ass up over here. We can use that for sure, for sure. Appreciate you, bro. For sure, for sure. Appreciate you for sliding on, and we appreciate everybody for coming in. And that's about it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. It's your boy DT3 TheBoonMan, and there's my man MMA Bet Surgeon, man. And we want to thank everybody for coming in. Tune in next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here on your boy DT3 TheBoonMan's channel for the Combat Cannon. I repeat, tune in next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time for the Combat Cannon, bro. And we out.
Hey, wait up. 1 second, Boone. One other thing I wanted to say was, Boone, me and you, don't forget, we're going to try and do the fight on probably your channel or something like that. So people remember, we're going to be doing this UFC, man. This is going to be a good UFC to cover. If Boone can do it, we're going to probably be doing it on his channel or my channel, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it don't matter.
So people, come on, tune in for that. Tune in for my picks and predictions. Get ready for those. I really appreciate everyone coming out. Like Boone already said, come back next week. We appreciate it, man. We're only going to get better. This is only going to get better, people.
This is only episode 1.
Yeah. On 24 hours, people. On 24 hours. So just get ready.
And we still got time. So we finna just build off of this, man. And like I said, man, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. You know what I mean? Especially even some of my boxing fans that came in to show you boys some love and support your boy regardless of, people was talking their shit. But I just want to thank everybody for sliding in, man. And can't do nothing but say God bless you and thank you and welcome to the Cannon, dog. We out this count.
We out.